Alright, so if I'm gonna be honest, Spiral's been really easy these past couple versions. I mean, I know I'm gonna get these people in the comments saying like, oh my god, you can't be saying Spiral's been easy. Of course it's easy for you because you're at the end of the game, but for people like me that just started, it's so hard. Stop having such a big ego, you stupid idiot. I mean, like, okay, but Spiral's been pretty easy. Now, for endgame players, I think I can say with a good amount of certainty that the previous 2.7 Spiral was by far one of the easiest Spirals we've ever had. 12-1, first half had just a bunch of Whopper Flowers and 2 Geo Vishaps, and second half had just like 2 Ruin Guards. 12-2 had Cryo Slimes, Mitochurls, and a big Cryo Lawachurl, which does look a bit difficult, but if you ran any team with Zhongling or just a Pyro DPS, then it's just easy. Second half had just 1 Magu Kenki, which wasn't really hard at all. 12-3 had just 2 Vishap Hatchwings and a Mechanical Cube. I mean, I don't even know why I'm really explaining it because it was literally like a week ago, but jeez. Now, I've seen whales complete floors in like a couple of seconds, so I'm not really going to compare myself to them, but every chamber with both halves only took me like a minute and a half to complete. Now, a lot of my Genshin friends don't really care much about Spiral, so I do it for them most of the time. The thing is, they all don't even have 2 fully built teams. But even so, I completed 12-3 on basically all their accounts with characters who didn't even have artifacts. Now, when I was thinking about this video and started jotting down my bullet points and things I wanted to talk about, I finally realized the problem with Spiral. It's not necessarily getting easier, but the enemies and bosses in Spiral are ones we've fought so many times. Like, in this current Spiral, there's a Ruin Guards and a bunch of Hilichurls. I mean, I know it's a Kazuha banner, so they're gonna have a bunch of squishy enemies to group and such, but I mean, we've been fighting Hilichurls, Ruin Guards, and these Nobushi for a pretty long time now. If I'm gonna be honest, if they swapped some mobs from floor 11 to floor 12, then that would actually be a lot better, because floor 11 has a Thunder Oceanid and a bunch of Spectres, which probably is gonna be harder than some Hilichurls. I think one of the better Spirals was 2.6 with the Abyss Lectors, because before this Spiral, not many players had a lot of encounters with them. I mean, they're in Enkonomiya and used to be in a couple other Spirals, but I remember a lot of my friends and other players having a hard time with the 3 Abyss Lectors in 12-2. I mean, if you had Venti or Kazuha or just an Anima grouper at the time, it was pretty easy, but I didn't have either, so it was hell. A couple days later though, I was able to figure out how to beat the Lectors and it was pretty easy afterwards, but ever since then, I never really had trouble with any sort of Spiral. Apart from 2.6, I think that 2.5 Spiral was one of the best ones in a while though. Chamber 1 had Rift Town, so corrosion fucked up with your health, went through shields, and made you focus on healing a lot more. Chamber 2 had a fucking Golden Wolf Lord, who's almost impossible to kill without a Geo character. I mean, at the time, I couldn't even complete that floor because I literally had 0 Geo characters leveled up, but that was actually kind of fun, not being able to 36-star Abyss for once. But enough about past Spirals. The current Spiral in version 2.8 is nothing short of, well, annoying. I mean, like, if the bosses and enemies had a shit ton of health and attacks that require a lot of iframing and a moderate amount of skill, then that would actually be really fun for Spiral in my opinion. This Spiral, however, doesn't really require any kind of skill, mainly just luck, RNG, and a bunch of tries, especially for the last chamber. The first chamber has a bunch of Hilichurls, which is perfect for Venti and Kazuha, because obviously, along with some Nobushi in the second half, which would be good for a grouper, but it doesn't really matter that much. Floor 12-2 is kind of fun though, with a Cryo Hypostasis in first half and a bunch of Ruin enemies in the second half. But Chamber 3 is where we get annoying. First off, in the first half, there's a Mirror Maiden and 2 Hydra Fatui guys. What makes this chamber annoying is if you don't kill either of the Fatui guys or the Mirror Maiden first, you get permafrozen and fucking die. I did find a way to beat this floor though. First off, just normal attack the Mirror Maiden and wait for her to TP back. After she TPs, just run towards her and the 2 Fatui guys will jump towards you. Right after they land, they're gonna make their shield, so what I did was apply Pyro and then swirl it, which just melted it. After you have them all grouped up, you'll just get some free damage in and just destroy all of them. I mean, if you don't do it this way, you'll either get permafrozen or all your skills cooldowns will double because of this dumb bitch. After the first half though, you have a fucking Ruin Serpent, which goes under the ground every like 6 seconds. It took me around a minute to clear the floor, but a chunk of that time was just watching this worm wiggle through the ground. Okay, let's go back to the earlier versions of Genshin when new enemies with brand new abilities and skill sets were out. Spiral was really exciting, and if I dare say, difficult. Now, I know I just sort of talked about it, but 2.5 and 2.6 stand out to me as one of the better Spirals, especially if you didn't have an animal support. But that was because before that, I barely killed any Abyss Heralds and fought any Rift Hounds. Now, I know I'm complaining about the most recent Spirals, and if I'm going to be honest, I can't really complain that much because we've come a long way. Most of you probably weren't there for the very first floor 12 of Spiral, which compared to now is literally child's play. The first floor 12 ever in the game just had slimes, Hilichurls, and some Fatui skirmishers. Fatui skirmishers were once the hardest enemy in the game. Remember that. But now we have Ruin Serpents, Mirror Maidens, and fucking specters. Also, with some spiral floors, there's a good amount of RNG needed. Like, if your character just decides not to crit 9 times, even though you have 80 crit rate on him, or the boss just leaves while you're fighting it. Now, the up-and-coming spiral is probably going to be really hard because the next patch is going to be Sumeru. So most likely, the enemies in spiral are all going to be ones we've never fought and has a completely different set of skills, which I'm really excited for. I mean, I'm not going to show you the leaks of the new enemies and bosses because I'm going to get copyrighted like my Sumeru video, but from what I've seen, it's going to be really hard. Finally. But in conclusion, I'm really excited for the future of Spiral and all the new enemies coming out in version 3.0 Sumeru. Well, anyways, thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. A sub to the channel is free and it really helps me out. Also, sorry for the shit upload schedule. I'm gonna just upload every Saturday from now on. And yeah, goodbye.